Hey guys, back at Farmer Pat here. Guys, today is a super exciting day for me. Yes, I know everything is exciting, but this is really exciting. So guys, I have in my garden a whole bunch of different pots where I grew veggies and different plants before, and now everything is like dry. Everything is like completely dead. And I have a whole bunch of transplants I want to do today, but there's no way I can plant my greens in here. There's no life here. So today's video, I'm going to show you how you can save money by reusing the same soil you used before, but just by adding a few amendments. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of transplants I need to do today. I have my greens, my mustard greens, and some other things that I planted over here that are way too close. At first started off planting just a few seeds. They were really struggling. I started them in the little growing trays, the seedling trays, but they were really struggling. So I just sprinkled a few mustard green seeds here, and guys, look at this. Every single seed looks like it took. It wasn't that many seeds that I planted, but they all took. And then some kind of brassica are in between. And I tell the truth, in this bed, I don't remember what I planted. You guys can look at it. I know it's a brassica. I've never planted brassicas before. It's my first time, and I have no idea what that is. So you guys let me know what you think it is. It could be cauliflower, it could be broccoli, not sure. Then in this bed, I have some bok choy that I planted, and I planted three different kinds. You can see that in that row, most of them took. This row, a good amount took, but something started eating it. Some of the leaves are missing, and in this row, only one took. So um, what I want to do today is transplant some of these into some of my tiered pots, and transplant these into a bed that right now has some sweet potatoes, but I'm gonna harvest the sweet potatoes. Then I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna refresh the soil in between the sweet potato bed. It's like I don't know if I'm gonna get anything out of that bed. The bed is completely dried. The soil is completely dried up, no life. And I don't think I've seen the sweet potatoes blossom, but we'll find out today. But first, let us get started over here. We're gonna go ahead and refresh the soil in these pots, do a few transplants of some broccoli, bok choy, and then I'm gonna move over to the sweet potato bed. Okay, Mr. Pinky. All right, we hear you. So there are different things that I can use um to refresh my beds or refresh my pots, and it all depends on what I plan on starting. So a good if you just want something that's general, you can use a general all-purpose. This is good for any fruits, veggies, and garden vegetables. I am not really endorsing any one particular brand today. This is the very first time I'm trying this Grow Well Proven Organics. Um, I am very big on when you're growing food, you use an organic fertilizer. So, and I find most of them are pretty good. Of course, some are better than others. There are some that I really, really like. But this I picked up today because I like to try different things. So I'm trying this for the first time. So because I'm going to be planting greens, I'm probably going to add a little bit of this all-purpose fertilizer. Another option is to go with Dr. Earth, which has a very good name. This is all-purpose fertilizer also. I also have Dr. Earth fruit and veggie fertilizer that can be used, but this also includes vegetables. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money using a whole bunch of different ones, all-purpose fertilizer is a good way to go. You see, this is organic, all natural, Dr. Earth. A little bit more pricey, but affordable. Then for greens, it's always great to add a little nitrogen in there. And because I'm doing greens, I'm going to be adding some nitrogen. And if you're adding, say you're doing tomatoes or you're doing peppers or something else, or like anything that you're going to plant in grow in the soil, like sweet potatoes. It's all, or cassava, whatever those root crops. It's all also good to use bone meal. But really, anything that's flowering, anything that needs to develop roots, or anything that's flowering, fruiting, bone meal is great. I like to have everything really balanced, so I don't just use any one thing. But of course, you have to be very, very careful. You have to read the instructions because you don't want to overfeed your soil because that also can harm your plants. Then, so the bottom line is with these, I'm not going to use all of these. I'm just going to use different ones depending on what I'm planting. But I'll walk you through it. So this is something that I think is just pure magic. Worm castings. As a matter of fact, I just my friends gifted me a worm factory, and I just set it up. I just posted a video on that. If you guys missed it, go ahead and check it out. Worm castings, to me, they're just magic. I think that's when my garden really turned around, is when I started using worm castings. So I bought this 30-pound bag that I've been using. It has a very low NPK, but something about the worm castings, it helps the soil to retain moisture. It brings life back into the soil. It's just really an excellent thing to add to your garden. So I have been adding worm castings in my beds, and I definitely will be adding them in the pot today. I also will be adding on the top layer some store-bought soil. I do have garden compost. I do have chicken manure in my run, but I want to be sure that the reason I'm kind of hesitant about putting my compost on the top layer is because I throw seeds in there and I don't hot compost. When you hot compost, it burns, it kills all the seeds, it kills everything. But I just basically dump all my organic material in a pile and let it break down, take its time and break down. So I know that there are seeds in there and I don't necessarily want them popping up here. So the very top layer is going to be a bag of organic store-bought soil. All right, so guys, let's get started. Let's see what we have here. So I have, first of all, these tiered plants that I believe, I haven't used them since I've been here in this home, but in my previous home from 2 years ago, I had bok choy and vegetables growing in here. So I'm gonna plant some bok choy back in here. It's completely dry. There's zero life in here. So we're gonna start on these tiers. So the first thing I'm gonna do is, this is the bottom layer, right? So what I did was I took some soil from the tiers. The soil was all the way up to here. I removed some soil and I put it in some empty pots that I had because I'm going to use all these pots. But I want to lower the tiers so I can, when I add my good soil and add my different fertilizers and stuff, it'll bring it back up. So all the nutrients from the top layer will eventually work its way down. Earthworms, the nutrition, everything will work its way down as I water and as time goes on. So let's see what we have here. So we have these. Here's another half empty pot that I started filling up with dirt. So I'm gonna move some of the soil over here. So I'm taking out about half of the soil for each of these containers. And I'm just, instead of dumping the soil, I'm placing them into empty pots that will all be used up. All will be used later. So these were all empty pots that I've been transferring soil into. So just by doing that, right now we have, call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do another one. Oh. Wow, as a matter of fact, look at this. It's a bok choy, but that's fine. So look at this, guys. Completely, wow, completely dry, completely lifeless. So what I'm doing first in each of these, I'm gonna kind of dig up. I'm stirring up with my hand, stirring up the soil, because it's really impacted and dry. These are fine. These are the ones that has transferred into. But in these existing pots, I'm just gonna stir up the soil. Because you want to make sure as your plants grow and the roots go down that they don't grow into impacted soil. So good. So there, I've stirred up my soil. I have the base layer of my pots. Everything is down about halfway, and all these pots are about the same level. That one's a little bit lower. Let's get some in here. All right, guys. So here are my 6 pots that I'm gonna use today. I had the 3 tiered pots. I had 3 empty pots. And what I did was take soil out of the 3 tiered ones to get them all about level. So now at the very base layer, I'm gonna add, before adding my good soil and add my amendments, I'm gonna lightly sprinkle a little blood meal. Lightly sprinkle a little blood meal. And the reason I'm going in with blood meal is because all the plants that I'm planting today, all the plants that I'm transplanting today are all into these 6 pots. They're all leafy greens, and that's a really good amendment for leafy greens. So this is literally just a hint of blood meal, maybe a teaspoon in each pot. So I add my blood meal and I'm stirring that in. And that is so when the roots reach this level, they will still have some nutrition. They won't just fall into nothingness. All right, so next I'm gonna go in with a little bit of veggie fertilizer. For the veggie fertilizer, I'm gonna use Dr. Earth's tomato and vegetable and herb fertilizer. All right, but you could very well use an all-purpose fertilizer, or you could even skip this and just add earthworm castings. I love earthworm castings. So there are different ways of refreshing your soil. This is just my way. So here it says for container plants, let's see, for containers, mix a quarter cup per half cubic foot, approximately 5 gallons. So for a 5-gallon cup, you're going to use 5-gallon pot, you're going to use about a quarter cup. These are definitely probably about 5 gallons. These containers, these are, I'm not sure, 3 or 5 gallons, but I'm just going to lightly sprinkle it because I'm going to put some more on top. So here, I'm using less than a quarter cup. I'm just lightly sprinkling it. Gonna lightly sprinkle each one. So definitely I'm using less than a quarter cup here. And then this is the magic, guys. My earthworm castings. You can't burn anything up. And that's the thing about using organic fertilizer, guys. When you use chemical fertilizer, you have to be careful because it can easily burn up your plants and really cause harm. With organic fertilizer and earthworm castings, especially the earthworm castings, you can literally plant directly into earthworm castings. You literally can start plants in earthworm castings by themselves. You don't have to worry about killing the plants. All right, so here I put in my earthworm castings. I've added a little veggie fertilizer, and I am just working it in. I also already added some blood meal to this base layer, and I'm working it in. So that way, as my plants get big and they get down to that base layer, they're going to get a whole other kick, a whole other boost of nutrition and in the soil. All right. So I'm working it in to all my plants. Next, I'm gonna get a bag of I have, if you have like a bag of potting mix or potting soil, you can use it. I actually don't have one, but I do have some garden soil that I'm gonna put in here and just amend. All right, guys. So, oops. I'm gonna, before I put the soil in, you don't have to do this, but before I put the soil in, oops, I'm just gonna wet this base layer, get things working here. Of course, as you water, the water will go all the way down, but we gardeners know that sometimes you think you water something and the water doesn't go all the way through. So I just wanted to just wet the base layer before I add more soil. So the soil I'm using today, and of course you can use any organic soil. You guys know I love Kellogg's organic raised bed mix. But today I'm using a local grower, a local nursery soil. They have it's organics. It's called the nursery, I believe it's called Simply Organic. The nursery is called Simply Organic. But everything they have is organic. All my wood chips that I ordered are from them. They dump it by the yard. And they don't carry potting soil, but they had garden soil and garden compost. But their garden compost, they said, it's really a soil amendment. So what I'm doing here, you can just get potting mix since you're doing this in pots, but make sure if you're growing food that you always grow using organic soil. um Here I'm just gonna fill up the pots and add some amendments. Just like I did before, I'm gonna add amendments on the top layer. So let's see what this looks like. Looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. It has a lot of wood chips in it. The wood chips does help to retain moisture, so that's good. It's not like too much. So we'll see how this grows. And the good thing is I'm adding my amendments, so I'm adding a lot of life to this soil. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, fill these up, and then I'll show you how I amend the top layer. Guys, because I reuse half of half of the pot was already just repurposed soil, I was able to just use one bag, and that filled up all my pots. So now we're almost ready to transplant. We're just gonna do the same thing we did before. Sprinkle a little blood meal on top of each one, since I'm planting all greens here, and then sprinkle some all-purpose fertilizer. Then I'm gonna go in with my earthworm castings, and then we are good to go. So just did my blood meal, get my handful of fertilizer of what is this? My veggie fertilizer, fruit and tomato and herb and veggie fertilizer, and then I'm gonna go in with my earthworm castings, which I just love. I just love. If you guys are already using earthworm castings, drop a comment below and tell me what results you've had with your earthworm castings. I just really love using this. Yeah. So I'm gonna be generous with my earthworm castings. These bags really go a long way. I've had this bag for a couple months now. I used the same bag when I created those two beds, and you guys see how my mustard greens have popped up. My broccoli popped up. Not my broccoli, my bok choy popped up. All right, so here we go with the earthworm castings. Then we're gonna mix this in. Then we're gonna do some transplanting. All right, I'm just working everything into the top layer, and then once I work everything into the top layer, I'm gonna water this deeply, then do my transplants. The earthworm castings was outside for a while, and it got a little bit clumpy, so I'm just breaking it up with my hands. And of course, as time goes on, it will break down into the soil anyway, but I'm just getting things going here by massaging it, breaking that up. And guys, just like that, we have 6 very fertile beds ready for whatever veggies you have. So guys, this is it. It's not a secret. You know, Farmer Pat wants to teach you every single thing that I know, and I don't know everything yet. I'll never know everything. I'm learning from you guys because I get comments below sometimes telling me, different ways to try things, and I am all for trying new things. We can grow our food together. All right, so there we go. Let me just water this in, and then we're gonna do some transplanting. All right, that's it. Gonna let the water seep in a little bit. See, it's kind of settling on the top, finding its way down. All right, so let's go do some transplants now. Soil is nice and wet and ready for some transplants. I think I'm gonna put my mustards in these individual pots because I know those get really huge. Then I'm gonna put the bok choy in these small pots. So I'm just making some space for them. These are tiered pots, so the middle won't get any plants. Only the top one. I'll use this one as the top. This one I can plant all over. So let's get started on that. Let's go get started on our pots or transplants. Yeah, so as you guys can see, my mustards are very, very dense right now. And I have some brassicas also growing in here. Not sure what kind. My mystery brassicas. I guess you guys will let me know what they are as time goes on. I know it's all stuff that I'm planting. I'm growing for the first time. All right. So let's get some mustards in. I think I'm gonna put 2 mustards per pot. I know a lot of people thin their veggies and their greens and they just cut them off at the base. But I feel like it's almost, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm just thinking I'm wasting food. But I know if you keep them too dense, they won't grow well. So here you see me, I just transplanted 2 mustards in this pot. You can actually cut off the base leaves so that it doesn't get any disease. I'll come back and do that. And then I'm gonna put a little mulch on the soil itself so it doesn't have backsplash and cause disease on the leaves. So I'm gonna pull out a couple more of these. I'm being very gentle. What I really should do, the best thing to do is to water it heavily first before you pull it out. But I know it just rained. I believe it rained last night. Everything was wet this morning. All right. So here we go with my mustards. Just using my finger, putting a hole in there and dropping my mustard in. And you see I'm not putting them close together. I'm putting them like at the opposite sides of the pot so that their roots have space. I could actually just put 1 mustard per pot because my mustards are humongous. This is actually my first time growing mustards in pots. Last year was my first time my second time growing mustard greens. I always grow them directly in the soil. Just for example, look at the size of these mustards that are spaced out versus these ones that aren't. That's why it's important to space your mustards out. Let's grab a couple more. Really, the right way to do is I'm going to do it the right way to show you guys. I don't want you to have my bad habits. The right thing to do is use your little shovel or a little spade and go below the root. Go all the way down below the root and pull up. That way you don't disturb the root system. See? That way you're not disturbing the root system. There we go. So now put my hole and I place my mustard in. More than I wanted came up this time, so I'm just gonna stick them in here for now. And when I harvest the sweet potatoes I told you guys about, I think I'm gonna put some mustards on that side. I actually have I also have some peanuts that I planted that I think they may be ready. I don't know. Probably not. They're probably not ready, but I think I'm gonna harvest the peanuts also and plant some mustard. I'm gonna stack the tiered planters and put my bok choy in. Guys, I finished my transplanting. So I put the top layer one type of bok choy. I'm not sure what kind it is. I think it might be tatsoi. I'm not sure what kind it is, or Shanghai. But the top tier is bok choy, and then the middle tier is a different kind of bok choy, and the bottom tier I haven't decided what I'm gonna plant there yet. Then of course my mustard greens I have in my individual pots. And in the bed, this is the bed that I transplanted them from. The bed was already rich in nutrition, so I just kind of spread them out a little bit since they were kind of clustered in just two rows. Started another row here right in the front. So these are from my bok choy. So I'm gonna show you really quick where I'm gonna be pulling out from the sweet potato bed, but I'm not gonna be doing a full sweet potato harvest video for that one. I'll record it separately and so you can watch it separately, because this video is all about how to do your transplants and how to get your soil ready before the transplants. So here is a bed that I have some sweet potatoes growing from. It's right beside the lemongrass. This bed has been 100% rejected, neglected for the entire however many months since I planted this. I know I'd taken a couple of sweet potato slips from that massive sweet potato harvest that I did a few weeks ago. When I first planted them, I put a few, I think 2 or 3 slips here, and this has grown up. I have no idea what kind of slips they are, what kind of sweet potatoes, but I wanted to show you what the soil looks like. The soil is completely dry, devoid of life. This is what you call hydrophobic soil. If I wet this soil, the water just runs off. So I don't know if I'm going to harvest anything. The leaves are green. I guess they went down below the soil and they tapped into some kind of moisture, but there is like no life in this soil. So I'm gonna pull the sweet potato vines up, and then I'm gonna show you what the soil looks like. And actually you just saw what the soil looks like. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up the sweet potato vines, then I'm gonna basically do the exact same thing I did in the in the pots. I'm gonna add a layer of veggie fertilizer. I'm gonna add some nitrogen, some blood meal, and I'm gonna add tons of earthworm castings because that will build up the soil structure, help it to retain moisture. Then I probably add 2 bags of soil before I plant into this bed. Anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to show you for today in today's video. I'm very happy that you watched it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Hit like, subscribe, share this video with your friends so that you guys too can learn how to grow your own organic food.